Alright guys, so Assassination Rogue, it's impressing a lot of people and we might have a new S tier over here. I'm not even joking. We are doing insane amount of damage and there's a lot of things that changed on the talent tree and on the rotation. So let's go through everything that changed so you guys don't waste any time. We actually have a lot to talk over here. We're gonna try to talk about this a little bit quick, but there's some things that we need to talk about here. So, the first one, it's this cursed build that we are seeing right now. We are not using the rank 4 on the Implacable, and instead of that we are using Sudden Demise. And why is that? It gives us 10% increased bleed damage, and empowering 10% on our growth and 10% on Rupture. Okay, we can think about it like it's 25% increased Rupture damage. Okay, so even with this, Garrote will always do more damage than Rupture. Because of course we are still using Shrouded Suffocation, so Garrote will always do a little bit more damage than Rupture. And supposedly 10% increase on Garrote damage is roughly about 15% Rupture. And we are still buffing Rupture an additional 10%, so it's basically around the 25% increased damage, so which is a lot. I haven't done these calculations myself. This was Whisper that did the calculations. He is the GOAT of Assassination, so you guys should check his channel. The link for the channel is going to be on the description down below. Every credit for this calculation I'm going to give to him because I cannot do this math by myself. But that's basically what happens here. So by taking Sudden Demise, we are empowering Growth and Rupture. This is why we are not using the Implacable, gaining basically 25% increased damage on Growth. On Rupture and 15% on Growth. It's just insane. So we are not using Unstable Toxin, and I'm gonna explain you why. The increased damage that we gain from a Venom, being 18%, yeah, it's good, but the reduced duration from the Venom aura, it's too much. We basically lose around 30% uptime on a Venom and 30% reduced uptime on a Venom just for 18% increased damage. It's not worth it. So we are not using an Unstable Toxin. Of course, we are using Poison Bomb. Poison Bomb, it's very good on AoE and it's a must right now to use. Then we have here Dashing Scoundrel. So if you talent Dashing Scoundrel, you basically gain 2 energy per second. And if you don't talent it, you gain around 1.5 energy per second. So talenting this, it's not gonna be really impactful. For a single target, it can be a little bit better, and you're gonna basically have the energy regeneration that we had before. And since Dashing Scoundrel was reworked, so before was 1 energy per poison crit. And with the turn precision, as we are using Fan of Knife every time to accumulate combo points, we are always applying our poisons, and Dashing Scoundrel will basically give a lot of energy regeneration because of that. So as it was reworked and it doesn't gain the energy regeneration for poison application, we are not using Dashing Scoundrel. But that's everything that I wanted to talk to you about the talents. This is the best build for M+ at the moment. Everyone is using Fatebound. If you want to use Deathstalker, the best build is going to be this one. You just change to Deathstalker. And the best raid build or single target build at the moment is this one over here. Of course, every build is going to be on the description down below of the video, so you guys don't need to worry, as always. And for the talents, that's basically it. Okay, so for the rotation, on the first part of the rotation it doesn't change anything until you send the burst. After you send Deathmark and King's Bane, you want to spread the bleed, as always. And after that, you want to spend as many Venoms as you can inside of the burst window until Deathmark expires. And after that, as we talked before, the only thing that you need to do is to chain the Venoms inside the Venom Aura window. That's the only thing that you need to do to maintain the energy. Of course, when you don't have TSLTs, you have to wait and play a little bit slower. Blizzard, it's meant to making Assassination meant to play slower, and that's why they are doing everything to take out every bit of energy regeneration that we have, and they're managing to do it. So when you don't have TSLTs, you really have to play slow so you can regain the energy and maintain the damage as well. The really good thing about Assassination, and it's gonna be really good on high keys, it's the poison damage. As they need time to tick, Assassination on high keys is gonna be, I believe, the best choice the next season. And we can actually do a lot of damage outside of the burst window. As we can see, the single target, it's actually very good. The only problem of the single target is after the burst, we don't actually have any way to maintain the damage. The damage drop off a little bit quick and a little bit too much, in my opinion. I still believe they need to buff a little bit of the bleed. If we had a little bit more bleed damage, we could do a little bit more damage outside of the burst. Or they need to find a way to make Unstable Toxin more usable on M+. Because without that, we're not gonna have a lot of burst damage outside of the burst window. As we can see, the single target, it's not bad. Can be one of the best specs for raids, but it will depend a lot on the damage outside of the burst window. We can check here the rotation for Deathstalker, and again, it doesn't change literally anything from the Fatebound one. The damage profile from the two of them are almost the same. Fatebound it's a little bit ahead, and I believe there's not much we can talk about here on Deathstalker. The prio damage is a little bit better because of the Deathstalker mark, but that was the same on subtlety. So Deathstalker always has the best prio damage, but for the AoE it's a little bit worse. As we can see over here, it takes a lot longer to make damage, but the sustain here on Deathstalker it's not bad as well. Deathstalker it's viable to play. I'm not sure if we're gonna see a lot of people play Deathstalker or not. The two hero talents have a lot of damage outside of the burst window. You just need to spread the bleeds, and as we always have King's Bane outside of the burst window, we can do a lot of damage outside of the burst. Of course, if the mobs die a little bit quick, subtlety is gonna be the best choice, I believe, until 10s, 12s. After that, I believe Assassination takes the lead. Outlaw, I wanted to try a little bit more of Outlaw, but the lag is insane when you place Blade Flurry. I don't know why it's happening, but it's being this since the PTR started. Let's hope that changed. But for the single target here on Deathstalker, it's actually a little bit worse than Fatebound. As we can see, we are a lot dependent on the Darkest Night, and I don't know why Darkest Night it's not doing the most damage. And I don't understand why that's happening, but it's not doing the most damage, unfortunately. Until they fix that, I believe Fatebound might be the best choice for single target. The prio damage, yeah, it's better on Deathstalker, but the single target damage on bosses and everything, it's still better on Fatebound. Right guys, so we can now see the stats, and for Assassination what you want. It doesn't change from what I believe. I don't want to say anything that's wrong, but from what I understand I don't see anyone changing their stats, so I believe everything stays the same. So I have 45% mastery, 42% crit, and 19% aced. You don't need that much aced, you want aced because of the energy regen, but I believe 19 to 20% is the perfect amount. So for the stats, that's what you want. Right guys, so the video basically came to an end. This was just to show you the changes that happen on the PTR, on Assassination. Any change that can happen, I'm always gonna post, so you guys don't need to worry. I can't thank you all enough to all the support that you guys have been giving me the past days, weeks and months. We just reached 1k subscribers the last day, and I can't thank you enough guys. You're making literally my dream come true. Thank you all for watching guys, my name is Musget and I see you all on the next video.